Hello. Hi. You guys ready to sculpt? So, my name is Melly, and I make monsters for a living. I make masks, I make toys, I make all kinds of weird shit. So, right now I am working on a mask, which this one I want to wear to an event called Wasteland Weekend. And it's got a post-apocalyptic theme, so I wanted to do like a metal terror bird head that looks like it's actually welded out of metal, but it's all actually sculpted and cast in urethane. So right now what I'm doing is roughing out the shape on this generic dummy head that I got from monstermakers.com, and you can see it's pretty rough right now, but it's getting there. So I'm going to be refining some shapes and just talking to you guys about sculpting. And let me pull up the video so I can actually see your questions. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. Okay. Yay. Alright, bear with me. So I've got my basic tools. So what I did at first was you get your monster clay, which is what I'm using right now, and it looks like this, and it's this microwavable tub, and just kind of blop it on. The guy's eyes are here, and then there is a face in there underneath, and you kind of build it up with rough, kind of ugly shapes for a while, and then once you kind of get it the way you want, you start to use large tools called rakes, like these. You can see how it's got a little serrated part to go in and make your planes, like your angles and like big areas, like the big beak area, to kind of smooth it and just shape it basically. And also, what I have already kind of done, sort of, is get it symmetrical, which is the worst thing ever. I hate it, because it takes forever and it's very boring. Symmetry isn't that important. I mean, most natural things aren't actually symmetrical, but, oh, here comes Frog. Everybody say hello to Frog. Hi, Facebook. That's my bird. Most things in nature aren't really symmetrical, but it does tend to look a little better the more symmetrical you can get it, especially if you're doing like robotics and stuff. I've done a few robot masks, and while I love doing them, don't eat that, please, Jesus. Monster clay is non-toxic, but you definitely don't want to let your bird eat it. So yeah, the robots, like I love doing them, but the worst part for me is getting everything symmetrical, because with robots, you kind of want it to be a little more symmetrical and believable. But with this guy, since he's going to be kind of a rough, post-apocalyptic helm that's made out of like scrap metal, you can kind of get away with like bullshitting it. Pardon my French. But, you know, reasonably symmetrical is good. So we're kind of there. So anyway. All right. Feel free to ask me questions, and I will try to answer them within reason, you know. So, hang on, gotta get a little sip of my hot chocolate here. Oh, that shit's good. All right, here we go. So, all right, so what I want to do right now is these spikes right here. They're cool, but a lot of them are sort of lining up too much in line. So when you look at it at different angles, it doesn't look very interesting. So I've taken off a few here, and I'm gonna try to like place them around and just get them a little more random and interesting looking, and different, you know, lengths and shapes. But I still want to have that really cool kind of how do I describe it? Like a zoom, sort of like to the head. Just a cool overall silhouette, but you know, still have it kind of interesting. So let's see if we can make this thing look cool. All right. Let me think here. So the idea that I want to do is, so like this beak here, I want it to look like it's been, so it's all metal, right? I want it to look like it's been welded in down the front, but then sharpened with, you know, some kind of tool to make it very sharp and very shiny here, but then sort of had these rough tool marks going past, and then like this part here would have like a weld line here, and maybe like a rivet there and a rivet there. And then all these spiky parts here, I want it to look like the metal has been taken like this and then folded into a spike, and then machined here to be sharp, and then bolted on as different pieces. So it all looks like it could actually be made out of metal. I want it to be very believable, even down to like the welds. Like I want to make the welds look like actual, you know, like the stacked dimes, proper welding that, you know, even like a professional welder might buy it. So hang on, I'm trying to turn off my pet robot. He's really annoying. Shut up, dude. Go to sleep. Thanks. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Yeah, that was Vector actually. He got very excited because I'm talking. So he's a really cool toy. It's Vector. Just look up Vector robot. He responds to your voice. He can dance. He lives on my desk, and he wakes up when I come in, and when he hears my voice, here he is right here. Right now he's sleeping because I turned him off. But he's really cute. But right now, I don't want to deal with him, so he needs to shut up. All right, so I guess I should sculpt, huh? Let's see. So I've got my heat gun here, which I'm going to use if I want to rip a spike off and then reattach it. I can't just stick it on, right? Because this kind of monster clay, I believe this is like the medium hardness. So you can't just plop it back on. Let me adjust the camera. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. It's a little bit better. You need to kind of heat both of the parts to get it to stick back on. Let me plug my phone in. Oh, no, that's all fucked up. Oh, whatever. So, I want to have a little spike coming off here. So like right here, these lines are going to be open so I can see through, sort of like a knight's visor, these little parts. So I want it to have, like here's one here, I want it to sort of flow with spikes like this and kind of branch out from like this point, so it just looks like this sharp edge from the front. So sorry, I'm catching up on some of the questions. Sculpting plasma cut edges. Sure. It's just gonna look like a welded, the stack dime thing that I talked about. I'm not really that familiar with the different terminology of welding, but I know that I can make it look like metal, so good enough for me. So again, I'm working with Monster Clay Medium right now. All right, so warm up this spot here with my trusty heat gun. And this shit's really freaking hot, so when you put your gun down, beware of where you put it, or else you're gonna burn stuff. We don't want to do that. And Frog is chewing on my ear right now. Come on, dude, stop. So let's get it to have that cool jet back. And see, this one's loose because I was just sort of placing it around. So. What does this say? Amanda wants to see. There's Frog. Hi, little brat. Hello. I'll probably put him away in a little bit so he doesn't completely distract. But, you know, I want him to say hi to you guys. I'm trying to figure out the comment thing. Come on, you piece of shit. Oh, you suck. It's like not updating the comments now, whatever. Actually, let's put this back a little bit. Let's make it straighter. And see, I don't want to line it up with this either. That's the thing with sculpting is that you really want to. Let me put the bird away. It's driving me nuts. Say goodnight, Frog. Good night, everybody. I'm annoying. Okay, I'm back. So with sculpting, you have to make sure everything, you know, looks cool at every angle, which is fun, kind of annoying too, but mostly fun. It's a challenge. So this is warm monster clay, so I microwave this. And I also have a trick for people who wear bras. I keep my monster clay in my bra because it stays nice and warm. A little secret for you. Or if you don't wear bras, you know, there's other places you can put it. I'm not going to judge. I won't kink shame. So, but it just makes it a little bit easier than going to the microwave. Back and forth, back and forth. Some people get like those little coffee warmer things, and they keep the monster clay in like a cup or something just to keep it warm, but sometimes it'll melt it a little too much, so I just stick it in my bra. And then at night, clay falls out of my shirt when I go to sleep. That's fun. I'm glad I'm not the only one that does the bra trick. Okay, so that looks kind of cool. And this is like, I guess it's kind of, it's not my favorite part of sculpting. My favorite part is when everything's kind of figured out and I get to do the details. Like that's like the dessert of sculpting. Definitely the shitty vegetable part is the getting the symmetry correct. This is sort of a meat and potatoes, I guess. This is so corny, sorry. The meat and potatoes of sculpting, as far as just getting the design kind of tuned in a little bit. And then once you get it, everything looking how you want from every angle, you can go in and really do all the little details and have a lot of fun. And that's the part that I love because, yeah, it's just, that's my jam. So, let's see. Sorry, I'm catching up on comments. All right. Yeah, the crock pot thing works too. If you can get like one with a really low setting, because I've used those before and sometimes it'll just turn to soup. Because, you know, sometimes I just want it to be just a little elastic, but not overly so. And I have terrible posture. I work at desks that are too low or too high, or I work sitting on my feet. Try to be aware of that when you're working because it can really mess up your back. I have a little adjustable desk that I'm using now that I can roll around to, like, you know, get out of the way when I'm not using it, but yeah, do what you gotta do, I guess. Okay, so oh, I'm glad you watched the Netflix show. I recently, well, a show recently came out on Netflix called 3 Below that I had the joy of working on. All I did was I just designed the 3 bounty hunters that are in it, like kind of the main minor villains, and that was fucking awesome. And that was like 2 weeks ago, and it came out, and I've been jazzed on it. It's really cool to see something that I worked on 2 years ago actually happen, and people are liking it. And yeah, just seeing my characters actually moving and speaking is pretty thrilling. So, okay. See, I don't like this part. This looks stupid. See how these are all kind of lining up? You know, like that just, ugh. So let's get rid of that. So let's get a big old knife. Got plenty of them. I've had this knife for a long time, like 10 years, maybe not that long, but a while. And I like this because it's got a chisel tip at the top. It's called a Razel, designed by John Graham. This one's put out by, what's it called? Well, anyway, CRKT, but they're kind of hard to find. But if you just look up like Razel, you can find like a flip version of these on eBay, but they're awesome. It's got a cool ring on it. Anyway. Shut up, Brandon. I see you. Yeah, God, I'm gonna sound like such a jerk. When Guillermo emailed me, when Guillermo emailed me 2 years ago, I actually thought somebody was playing a joke on me. Because, you know, it was him, and so we have a mutual friend, and I emailed him like, is this really Guillermo del Toro? And he's like, oh yeah, I gave him your info. He wants you to work on a show, and I'm like, ooh, all right. Just peed myself a little, but cool. And then a couple days later, I was at the DreamWorks TV studio meeting him, and he was super cool. Super nice dude. Made me feel very comfortable. The whole team was super nice. Everybody was excited that I was there, and I was like, I can't believe you guys want me here. So it made me feel, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word? Oh, I can't think of the word. There's a perfect word. Not justified. Something like that. Anyway, made me feel good. So there. How did I keep quiet about it for so long? Yeah, it was really hard. I just didn't want to get in trouble, I guess. I guess fear is how I kept quiet for so long. I was just, afraid to let the cat out of the bag and then never be able to work with them again and spoil the whole thing or get sued, so that definitely helps. But yeah, it was really hard. And then last year I found out who was going to be the voice of one of my characters, and he's Darren DePaul, who does stuff for Blizzard, and I got to meet him at BlizzCon, and he was super nice, and I was like freaking out because I was trying not to give it away. He's working on it, blah blah blah, but yeah, he did a really good job. He's Alpha's voice, and he's very scary. He's such a happy man, but he has some scary voices. And he's super nice. Okay, and this shape is dumb too. It's too I don't know, triangular. I want it to be more coming up. So let's see. Let's chop it like this. Get the trusty knife out. And if I miss any questions, I'm sorry, because I want to mostly sculpt, so you guys can see how I do this, but I will try my best not to forget that you guys have questions. So, okay. Validated, that's the word. Thank you. Scoopy, you're the best. I could not think of the word. Yeah, validated is the word. Just having somebody like Guillermo del Toro and his team actually treat me like a professional. And we're actually excited that I was there. It's like just that feeling of holy shit, you know, all this work that I put in, somebody actually noticed it. And it's amazing. Completely validated. And it got me through a very bad time in my life. So it was amazing timing. So yeah, pretty cool. Hope they make toys. That would be amazing. I would absolutely poop my pants if they made toys of Alpha. Even if they're Funko Pop. Sorry, I'm gonna talk shit, but I don't like Funko Pop. But I would buy it if it was an Alpha Funko. Sorry, Funko. I don't mean to step on your dick. You thought that mug had clay in it. That's funny. I've drank paint water plenty of times, so that's not that far off. I think we've all done it, right? Okay. Now that looks dumb. So let's see, like this shape, how this here is kind of meh. So let's chop it. So the head I'm working on is a rigid foam, and it's just a generic male head. So you can abuse it without it snapping. So you can, go in and chop it with a knife. But this one's definitely been through the ringer. If you can see, it's pretty effed up. Big old hole in the neck. So sometimes when I make molds, I have to, it's hard to pull the head out of the clay mask and out of the mold, so you have to kind of beat it up a little bit. But, let's see. Could you post a link on what the knife is later? Yes, I can definitely do that. Okay, that's a little better. So like this shape. So like, here's the eye, right? I want to have this cool swoopy shape here, flat and then down, and then this to be like that, like a terror bird skull with sort of like that weird cheekbone sort of thing that they have laying over this, but just this cool jutting, and then it suddenly ends. So it kind of contrasts with some of the pointy bits. But I might change my mind later. I don't know. It could look stupid, but you don't know until you try it. The nice thing with monster clay is that you can rework it over and over and over and over, and you don't have to mist it like with some of the ceramic type clays. You have to mist it or else it'll dry out, or it can go moldy if you take too long to finish it. So, I mean, the only thing about monster clay is that rats will eat it. So if you leave it outside in a garage where rats can get at it, they will eat the face off. And I've had that happen. And it's not cool. It sucks. So. Oh, the hot chocolate is so good. Sorry being here, drinking, but it's really good, okay? All right. So this, let's try this. Maybe down, yeah, that look cool. Like that. Chop it out. Yeah, that looks cooler with that long kind of thing there. And then we'll have that jutting up and then this kind of jutting out. And then maybe leave a empty space here, because you kind of want to let the eye, you don't want to I mean, you can, who cares? You can overcomplicate it as much as you want. But I like to sort of have busy areas and then sort of let the eye wander in a certain way. So if you have, you know, maybe too much going on, you know, it can kind of clutter up the design. But it kind of, I don't know, I mean, you can clutter up whatever you want. It's your sculpt. This is just how I do it. Okay. Is monster clay hard on your fingers? Kind of. I mean, once it's a little warm, it's not bad. But it's, like when it's cold out, it's a little cold in here. I mean, California cold, it's not really cold. It can be a little frustrating. Cause like once you stop working on it, it'll immediately solidify. So like, you know, since this is cold, I can't really I really have to push to get in there. But that's why you have your heat gun. You can go in and kind of warm up the surface, or you keep it in your bra, like I said. And, at least let the extra monster clay kind of stay soft as you need it. So like this little bit is still soft, so I'll go in and use it to mush in. But it's non-toxic, which is great. I had a problem with Super Sculpey back when I used to use it. It made my fingers break out. I think it's something in the oil in it. I would get these really painful little bumps along my finger here. And I have yet to experience that with monster clay, so that's pretty nice. So I don't know if anybody else has had that problem, but yeah, that sucked. Do you like better to sculpt 1-to-1 size masks or a 1/6 size character? I don't know. I think with the 1/6 characters, it's nice because you don't have to worry about the constraints of seeing, like the character seeing out, you know, human, you know, when you're working with a human face, there's only so far apart you can put the eyes, there's only so much you can play with the proportions. You know, you don't want to have like a super long snout or certain things. So with 1/6, since a human isn't wearing it, you know, you can mess around a little bit more. But I do like the fact that these can be actually worn by people. It's pretty exciting. So I'd say about the same for both. I think Alfred Paredes, Jared, had the Nibbled on Rat piece a few years ago. He may have posted it. Yeah, he was pissed, and I don't blame him. Okay. How long ago did you start sculpting for a living? I went full-time artist in 2008. But I was doing a lot of like t-shirt work, like illustration, freelance, designing shirts. I kind of went for the t-shirt apparel ringer for a few years, because it paid well. And then I started doing the masks, I think in like 2009, 2008, like the cast urethane masks. And those really took off, and I think that I'm a way better sculptor than I am an illustrator. I mean, not to sound like a pompous asshole, but it just sounded like, ooh, I'm just so good. But I just think I'm way stronger at sculpting, and I think that I've kind of gotten the best that I can get at illustration. There's no room for improvement for me, because I'm not that great of an illustrator. But I think I'm continually improving my sculpting, I hope, I think, every year, so I like it a little better. Plus, I like things. I like making things. You know, you can actually wear it, you can play with it, you can touch it. It's cool. So yeah, to answer your question, full-time about 10 years ago, but I did part-time freelance since 2003. I'd work a regular job and then do freelance on the side. So, yep. But in 2008, I was working for Motorola designing cell phone interfaces, and it paid well, but it was pretty boring, and I got fired, and it was the best thing ever, because I realized that I couldn't do a 9 to 5, and I work very, very, very hard because I really don't want to go back to that. Nothing's wrong with having a 9 to 5. It's just not for everybody. So I just really bust my ass so that I never have to go back to that, because I don't fit in there. And so far so good. There's always that fire under my ass of, oh shit, is this it, you know, as far as like sustainability, but that's just me being paranoid and insecure, I think. Oh, mother... Sorry. Just snapped that right off. Good job. All right. Okay, let's see. So, I don't think I like this shape either. It'd be cooler if it, like, the jaw went up like that. So, let's chop it. And I think Brandon posted my Patreon page earlier in the comments. And on my Patreon, there's different tiers you can join, from $1 to $35. But I post a lot of tutorials on painting, it's like painting casts, prop making stuff, sculpture, how to mold stuff, how to cast stuff, how to make 2-part molds, 1-part molds, blah, blah, blah. And the higher you pledge, the more information you get, the more access you get. So if you want to support me, it's patreon.com/Missmonster. I think, like I said, I think Brandon posted a link earlier, so feel free to sift through and find it. But, you know, don't feel obligated. So I think, like, when I make the mask, right, I try to consider what the character is, like, what their purpose is, and why things are the way they are. So, like, with this thing, it's obviously a human wearing a mask trying to look very intimidating, but it's also a helmet designed to protect them because it's made out of metal. So, like, where's the most likely spot they're going to get hit? Where would they have spikes? I mean, really, they could have spikes anywhere they want. But, like, this spike here, you know, it just, I don't know, for some reason, I think it doesn't really fit. I feel like they would armor more up here rather than the side. I mean, maybe I'm just full of shit, but sorry I'm swearing so much, but it's just what I do. But I just feel like it should be more aggressive here. So, let's see. Okay. I think I like the shapes. And, you know, I'll still go back and refine a bunch of stuff later on. This is just the basic idea I'm getting here. But, yeah, that's like this weird kind of wedge thing, like they used a really scrappy piece of metal to jam on there. So, yeah. And sometimes you'll run into people who get really touchy about the whole apocalyptic thing. Like, they'll say, like, well, they don't have welding then. They don't have this or that or metal casting or blah, blah, blah. And, like, well, you know, they could. Why not? You never know. Depends on what apocalypse it is, I guess. But, I mean, I see what they're saying, but at the same time, it's like, I want to have fun, too. So, how about you just let me do my thing? Shut up. Let's see. So here's the other side, and it's looking pretty boring. Like, meh, you know. This is boring. This is too busy. I don't know what this stupid shape is, but we'll deal with that. Hey, this side definitely needs some big time help. So the nice thing is this side doesn't have to match this side. Yay. But I still want it to have some rhythm. I still want it to make sense and kind of, you know, match. So sometimes I'll put a mirror on the other side so I can see while I'm sculpting what the other side looks like. But I'm kind of in a pinch right now because I don't want to disturb my workspace since you guys are here. So I'm just gonna just wing it. It's fine. So I like this shape. This is dumb. So let's see, why do we have you like that? Yeah, let's fill that. Yeah. So I'm gonna just move it a little. Finish my hot chocolate. Yeah, because this side is more out and this side goes in a weird angle. So let's get into the warm monster clay and fill that in. Do you keep the molding and casting undercuts in mind while working, or do you ignore that till the end? If you do, does it limit you? Yeah, I do. I try to, with the masks especially. You know, if you get too nuts, especially if I'm going to do like a production, because with these, I open for pre-orders, and people can order blank copies of this, and that means that I have to make, you know, a couple dozen of these on my own. So the less complicated the mold, the better, because just the more parts to the mold, the more parts to the cast, etc. It can get very expensive and irritating, and so as far as it being limiting, yeah, it you know, of course it is, but I try not to. I'll push it sometimes, but sorry, I'm trying to think. You know, you can still make it look cool without having, you know, these crazy undercuts. But like with this, I will probably end up having to rotocast it, whereas some other masks that I've done, I use a 2-part mold where you can just pour in the resin and you're done, which is awesome. But those have to be very, very, very simple in their shape, and with these spikes and stuff and with all that stuff, I mean, yeah, it might be possible to do with a 2-part, but yeah, to answer your question, I do consider it, because you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you, I do not like mold making. I've done it hundreds of times. I think it's very boring. It's necessary, but it's a grind. So, you know, sometimes simple is better. That's just me. Any risk the clay may stick to the mannequin head? No. I mean, you can put like a mold release, like spray over it if you're worried about that. But once you kind of chisel off like one part, it'll pretty much just peel right off. Usually. There have been times where it's been annoying to remove, but overall, I mean, the clay stays soft. So there's really not that big of a worry about that. All right, let's get this. Yeah, see, like this goes swoop, and then this one goes, it goes like in. So I don't like that. I think it looks dumb. let's fix it. So I'm just adding some soft monster clay in there. Fix it up. Sorry, let me reframe. Make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. So how was your first time at Decon? Well, I've been going there for a couple years now. So the first time I went, it was fun. Oh shit, Simon Lee, yay. I think Mark Newman commented too. Do I do delicate sculpts? I don't think this one's very delicate. But, no, I think I see what you're saying, though. I did say the Shifletts actually have delicate sculpts. There's the one with the dragon. It's one of my favorite ones of theirs. I think it's Tallulah and the Stray is the title. It's got the little girl with that beautiful dragon. And it's gorgeous, and it's just such a well executed sculpt, but also the story that it tells is just pretty tremendous. So that one's pretty delicate. They don't always do barbarian dudes. Chocobo, nope. Nopety nope nope. I do not make stuff with existing IP. I don't make fan art. Sorry. Okay. I have to go microwave this monster clay in a little bit because I'm running out of the warm stuff in my bra. Oh, it's not even that warm. Oh, come on. Darn it. And so let's get a cool jagged kind of thing there. Ow. All my clay tools are on the floor. So that has a cool point. I think that should have a cool point around the same area. So you definitely want to keep turning your sculpture and looking at it from all angles, because sometimes, let's say I'll be working on a sculpture like this, you know, from the front, like that, and then I'll look at it, I'll stand up and look at it like this, and then I see it's like, or it's completely askew in some weird way, and that's when I go, oh shit, and I have to adjust a bunch of stuff. So the whole process, you definitely want to keep turning it and looking at it from all angles, even from the bottom can help a lot, just to make sure it's kind of lining up the way you want. So it's just a good habit to get into. All right, what was I doing? I was making this part a little more interesting. So have a cool swoop here. All right, I'm gonna go microwave this. Yeah, I'll be right back. Microwave the plate. Microwave that plate. Microwave it all day. Cause motherfucking clay. Hey, Bruce. Wasteland. Hey. Wasteland. Bruce goes to Wasteland too. And he makes cool shit. Okay. So I microwaved it for like 30 seconds and it's a little more pliable. So another cool thing about Monster Clay is like you could stretch it and it just kind of stays. I started using Monster Clay, I don't remember what year, but it definitely changed the way that I sculpt. I used to use Super Sculpey, and a lot of people are absolute masters of it. But I recently tried to go back to using Super Sculpey just to see, and I couldn't sculpt in it. It was crazy. Like I'm just so used to Monster Clay now. I'm kind of locked in now. And I've tried Shiflett, and I threw it right in the garbage. I hated it. Some people are amazing at it. Personally, I cannot stand it. So, yep. So sometimes switching materials can actually make a huge difference. So definitely experiment with things. You know, if one kind of clay doesn't work out for you, try something else. Because sometimes it's like a tactile thing. Sometimes it's just the feeling of one clay is more intuitive for you. And Monster Clay just hit all the right buttons. And they make it in 3 different varieties. There's a soft version, medium, and a hard version. So, and for those of you who have Adam Bean's CX5, I've been mixing it with Monster Clay because you can melt them. You mix them together, and that way you can make Monster Clay that is even more hard, but not as hard as just pure CX5, because you know it comes in a very hard variety where you have to use special heated tools to use it, and I was terrible at it. So it's good if you need to make like really delicate small pieces or like teeth to put into the sculpture to sculpt around, but you need it to stay solid. So there's a little trick for you. But CX5 is very rare right now, so if you do find it, maybe just hold on to it the way it is. I don't know, because I don't know if it's being made right now. Anyway, okay, let's get rid of this weird shape. Put the clay back in my bra where it belongs. And where's my knife? Chop, chop. Choppity chop. So like this cheekbone, so I'm going to look at it from the top. So the cheekbone here is here. The cheekbone here is way up. Is that going to look stupid? Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Doesn't matter. It might. So the reason why I'm a little concerned about this cheekbone lining up with this one on the other side is if I want to hinge this jaw, I kind of want to keep these 2 parts sort of together, you know, like lining up, just to make hinging easier so it'll move properly. But you know what, it might not even matter in the end, to be honest with you. So I might just play it off, because yeah, I think it'll be okay. Oh my Christ, I just banged my knee. Wow, that hurt. Do you have a comfort zone in terms of technique or subject matter? I'd say my comfort zone is probably stuff with big curly teeth, like food dog kind of stuff, Asian inspired monsters. It's definitely something that I'm kind of known for, I guess, is you know, goofy foo dogs. And as much as I love sculpting them, I try not to lock into it too much because I don't want to be, you know, just rehashing the same thing over and over. But it's also kind of fun to revisit certain designs that I did, you know, years ago and just make something similar, but with my new skills. I kind of did that with a personal mask that I made for myself recently. Like in 2006, I made this whole demon costume, and a few years later, 2012, I remade the whole thing, you know, with all the improvements that I knew, and it looked cool. And then this last year, I made the same character, the same kind of idea, but like completely different, using the skills that I have now. The skills that I have now being like casting in transparent urethanes and working with iridescence and just sort of a higher quality sculpt. So actually I'll go get it for you real quick and I'll let you guys see. So the mask that I made in 2012, that was the remake of the 2005 one, is this one here. Ta-da! So that's all horsehair, foam horns. I'd never worked with foam before. I did kind of a translucent ear, so it looks like it's got like, you know, like blood filled, so when the light hits behind it, it looks like a living tissue. And then, yep. So, and there's a whole outfit that goes with it. So that was 2012. That was a remake of 2005. And then the one from this past year is this one that I did. So, you know, it's a female demon, sort of similar look, but, you know, completely different and sort of upgraded to the skills that I have now. And you can see all this I had to split up into a bunch of different molds. This is a separate piece, this is separate. So it would fit into my pressure pot so I could cast it in clear and not have any bubbles. And then the back of it is painted with metallics to make it look sort of opalescent. Ta-da! And she's got these really cool silicone tendons inside the mouth. So, and this is all hair that I dyed. Yep. So yeah, there's some themes that I'll revisit frequently, but like I said, I try not to stick too much into certain things. So, hi. This shape is weird. This needs to jut. Maybe come out a little more severely. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Can I fire Jared and replace him with you so you be the other Shiflett brother? I don't want that kind of abuse, Brandon. Thank you very much. I've seen what Jared goes through. No thanks. Nice try. You dyed the horsehair. Actually, it's that one, the latest one is not horsehair. That's Kanekalon, I think is how you say it. It's a synthetic hair. I bought it all white. And then I used rubbing alcohol combined with acrylic ink, not acrylic paint, acrylic ink. And you use a paper towel to sort of run it through, and then you comb it. And actually, the entire build of that mask and how I made it is on my Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/Missmonster, and I show you the entire build of that whole costume, from the clay sculpt to casting to all the molds to all the hair, making the jaw move, building the claws that are part of it, every single thing. So you can definitely learn a few things there. Did I just put the same damn shape that I just did? No, okay, good. You know what? I don't think I like this part. That's what's bothering me, this big weird chunk. Goofy. Yeah, that was way dorky. Alright, so then have it like... Sorry, I'm like breathing really hard in the camera. What are you wearing? So maybe this, yeah, I could do like a big, like that. I like to make fart sounds. Alright, let's try it out. So sometimes I will, I'll sketch the mask before I start, but it's usually really simple. Let me see if I can find my sketchbook. So my sketches in my book are just basically to get the idea out of my head, and I don't want to waste time putting in details, because I know that so much of that is going to change once I start sculpting. Where are you, you little son of a bitch? There you are. So so like the idea for this, I just drew just this really quick. I just like that shape, the terror bird shape. And you can see it's changed a lot since I, you know, got into it. But yeah, it's just a kind of a placeholder sketch. Okay. Maybe this should angle down too. Like go like this. See, I like this shape where it kind of swoops in a little and then jams back out. So let's beep, beep, beep. And then have it kind of maybe jam back down like that. Maybe I just made it look dumb. Let's see. Like that. So I just want to have like a cool line flow of just the flow and shape of the whole form. Really slow, just, you know, because I'm kind of distracted, but you also don't want to rush it too much. There's been times where I've thought I was finished with a sculpture, just something was off. Like it was, you know, it's passable, it's cool, kind of, but just something wasn't quite there. And usually getting a very trusted second pair of eyes on it helps a lot. And I say trusted because, you know, you don't want just anybody. You want to find somebody who knows your work well enough, who knows you well enough to be able to offer a constructive critique that's not just about making it into what they would do or, you know, whatever they're projecting onto it. And also somebody with good taste. It sounds snotty, but whatever. somebody with good taste, who gets it, who can really look at your work and just tweak one little thing about it that you would never see, and that can take a decent piece, a passable piece, to something that's like you're really proud of. So, you know, keep an open mind to constructive criticism. I emphasize constructive, from trusted people. You know, you can, you know, people online like to give their opinion, and that's fine. But a lot of people are full of shit. So, yeah, it looks a little limp. Shoot. Yeah, this thing's fighting me, huh? Alright. Let's get rid of you. Put you here. Yep. And then get you away. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think I got it. Maybe? I seem to be constipated artistically right now. And that happens. And it's okay. Perfectly alright. Sometimes you just gotta work through it. Just keep bashing at it, and then sometimes you just gotta walk away. And that's okay too. But, you know, there's times when a sculpture's gonna really piss you off. And you're gonna wanna throw it in the garbage. And there's been several times where I've started something that looked really cool in my head. Oh, it's gonna look awesome, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I start doing it, and it just doesn't look cool. And I didn't make it. 'Cause, yeah, and that's okay. You know, you can give up on stuff, but I guess don't make that a habit either, of giving up too easily. Sometimes you have to fight for a good piece. I guess just learning the difference. You know, being lazy or unwilling to be challenged by your own work versus just knowing when to throw the towel and move onto something else that's inspiring you more. I don't know. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Don't give up, but also don't let something kill you, if that makes any sense. Alright, that's a little cooler. Maybe, you know what? I think it's because, yeah, okay, let's do a little Reagan. Nice little double chin there. This one sucks. It doesn't suck. It's just, it's better for like way bigger. So instead of that one, I'm going to use a little pointier one. This one is from, get in there, hello, Ken's Tools. And see, it's a lot sharper, so you can really get in there. And just for the sake of demonstration, towards the end of this, I'll show you guys how I smooth monster clay, just to show you, because this part is going to be like eventually really polished and smooth and sharp to make it look like a sharp metal beak. But I don't actually do any smoothing until like once all this is really solidified is when I'll start doing smoothing. But I think it might be really helpful for a few people in the forum to see how to smooth monster clay, because I get questions about it a lot. So try to remind me to do that before the time's up, okay? Let's see. May it bend from its own weight? Not really. Like, you can see how far, once it's like cooled, you know, it stays pretty solid. And as I said earlier, there's different hardnesses of it. So you've got monster clay soft, medium, and hard. So, you know, with the hard stuff, you could really get something that can hold its own weight. Okay. spikies. Maybe another spike here. Definitely need one here. There's this big open space. So let's go nail bra. So there's my heat gun. So just help the piece adhere a little bit better. What can I add to the water-based clay to get better results? I have no idea. I don't work in water-based clay, but hopefully somebody can help you. But it ain't me. I guess water? I don't know. Oh, that's dumb. Nope. See, what I did there is I made it like angled, so it completely broke like the flow of this. Like that, so it should be like a little more wicked. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And like I said at the beginning, all these little spikes, once I get them like laid out how I want, I'm gonna have them so that they're sort of like this, where they look like on top of the clay and with like a weld or like a rivet on there, so they're just kind of sloppily welded on, because I want this whole piece, for those who've missed it, I want this whole piece to be to look like it's actually made out of welded metal pieces, welded and shaped metal pieces, while actually being made from urethane. So I do enjoy, so I've done this before with other masks, making things look like actual metal through either painting technique or just the way that I sculpted it. Like, let me go grab a piece real quick to show you. So, these claws on this, I made this for Wasteland Weekend. So the claws here look like metal, but they're actually cast urethane. I sculpted all this. You can see like the fake welds here, and I actually had somebody, a metal worker, critique my welds because they weren't tight enough, not realizing that this was actually made out of urethane, not metal. So I thought that was very funny. So, but yeah, so that's sort of the idea that I'm going to do with this. And they're actually really sharp too. So here, I'll show you the whole glove. It's made off of an old hockey glove. And so these are like tags that I found that I sewed in. And it looks like that. Ta-da. Won't scratch you. Yep. And then this is all plastic. This is other fake metal that I sculpted to look like kind of slapped on pieces. So I think it came up pretty cool. Hopefully y'all do too. Is that Mrs. Shiflett? Hello. Hi, Steven. That's my boyfriend, everybody. He's so cute. And I'm embarrassing him right now. Okay, so I kind of like what this is doing. This is kind of cool. So let's save that. Sometimes I'll make little notes for myself by like making a little line to come back to later. So maybe kind of bring that out. Yeah, you know, maybe I should do more like angled sort of stuff like this. Maybe it could be cool. I just want to make it look just really fucking gnarly. But sort of silly in a way because it's this big dumb bird head. So like, so it's cool but kind of dumb at the same time. But cool, but dumb. And I kind of secretly hope that somebody at Wasteland gives me shit about it. And is like, that's not theme, blah, blah, blah. So then I can just bite them. I'll scratch them with my big claw. Oh, Brad, I'm glad to hear that you would be fooled by that fake metal. That's awesome. That makes me very happy. Yeah, the guy who, the metal worker who critiqued my welds, he was like, you know, next time you weld, you gotta make them look more like stacked dimes, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I got news for you. And he was totally cool about it. He was kind of embarrassed. But I was annoyed at first, to be honest with you. And then I was just kind of tickled, like, you know, it means that I did a good job. So, let's see. A backstory. Oh yeah, I do like giving my stuff backstories. It's way fun. Actually, Steve and I do a lot of writing together for my backstories, especially with the like the cyborg universe, the Robodogs and the Anubots, and the Rue units, and the Hoons, and all those dudes. Half you guys, actually, most of you guys don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I'll show you one of the Robodog heads. But it's just these robot characters that I made up, and Steve and I kind of write about them and kind of fleshing out their world. And yeah, just having fun with that. So this is one of the Robodogs that I made a few years ago. So he's got his mouth opens. His joint is a little bit loose, but it's a wearable mask, and he's got a whole outfit. And I also have 1/6 scale toy versions of this guy that I made. So that's where I see out of. It's impossible to see. So one of those guys, and then I'll show you a new bot, which is over here. This thing. Ta-da! And it also has an openable little jaw. So, these are like the assassin, super scary assassin dudes. Boop. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would do with the stories and stuff, but it's like the world building. And this is the Hound unit, one of the toys that I made. And I took this one offline because I want to improve a few things, like with the accessories on them, and then put them back up for sale. And I also used them as a display for DesignerCon in November. But sculpted him out of clay, and then, oh, and he's got a butthole. Sculpted him out of clay, and then cast all the parts in urethane, and then it just uses screws and washers to keep the joints tight. It's got a little posable tail and a light that turns on like that. So, yep. His head moves. Yep. Ta-da! So I made a few of the finished ones. And I had some DIY kits available, but they're sold out right now. But, you know, if there's interest, I'll definitely bring them back. Let's see here. We saw you slip his one piece. Disgusting. Collectible rope book. Oh, do you guys want to see the cyberpunk jacket that I've been working on? Steve just said cyberpunk, so might as well. I guess we're doing show and tell now for a second. So I'm gonna move the camera a bit. So here's the cyberpunk jacket, and it's not finished yet, but this is all flexible armor. And I didn't make the actual jacket. But this is all just built on top of it. So like all these pieces I sculpted this piece. It's made from silicone and it lights up. And then these are like German army harnesses. And it's got like EO wire in it. So this is all flexible. So, and then this is, this lights up. And I'm waiting for an acrylic panel that goes over it that a friend of mine is making. But you can see it kind of lit up. So it's unfinished. I still need to sew in a few things, but it's pretty much done. And I'm kind of bummed actually. I really enjoyed working on this. As much as I hate sewing, all this is sewn on. As much as I dislike hand sewing or any kind of sewing, I really enjoyed making this, you know, this crazy piece. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Guess I'll wear it to the gym. I don't know. So there's the cyberpunk jacket. And here's a few of the test pieces for the back silicone panel. So I sculpted this out of clay, and this is the urethane master cast. And then I was experimenting with different kinds of flexible plastic for the backing, but I really like the transparency of the dragon skin. So, so I could put lights through it. Another test piece. This one came out way too thick, but you can see the back is black. That's where the lights will shine through. They'll be installed in the back. That's how it is with the other one, but the other one's way lighter. But yeah, so you can still see through. So yeah. There you go. Silicone better than neoprene. It just depends on your what you're using it for. Some of the pieces that I just showed you on the jacket armor is actually creature cast rubber, which is a neoprene that you can cast with plaster molds. Sorry, let's see my dumb face. There you go. So yeah, creature cast rubber. It's pretty cool. It's flexible. It takes a little while to cure. You have to use a stone mold, which I'm not very good at making. So the mold that I made was like meh. But overall, it's really cool stuff because it's very tough once it's cured, and you can get decent detail out of it. So I would definitely give it a shot if you're looking for a flexible material. But the other stuff that I used is something from Smooth On Year or something, and I cannot remember the name. But you have to brush it in layer by layer, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to do. So like I couldn't really use it to make like a production run because it'd take me forever to make it. But you know, for a one-off like I was making, it was pretty cool. Steven, your girlfriend is a tattooed circus freak. Uh-huh. Is Amanda here? Doesn't she have tattoos? I think, Uh-huh. Us circus freaks. I can't wait to hang out with you guys again at Monsterpalooza. But no tequila this time, for God's sake, Brandon. So I'm going to build up this weird shape that I kind of got into here as a placeholder, but I still want to deal with the weird kind of shapes here. Let's see what time it is. All right, we got plenty of time. Circus or sideshow? Thanks, Steven. Poor Steven. The things he has to put up with me. It's worth it, right, honey? Baby cakes, snicker bottom, schmoozy poodle, floopy floppy, flippity floop, feet fop. Ooh, Copperhead Caravan's here. Yeah. They were our neighbors at Wasteland Weekend, and they were very cool. And I hope we get to be neighbors again. Best neighbors ever. Oh, I'm glad you like the Three Below characters. My babies. My scary, ugly babies. Do you drink any of these energy drink things? So people say that I work a lot. I work hard. I get a lot of things done, right? This is how I do it. Oh, sweet. Sweet nectar. Caffeine. Green tea. No sugar. It'll make you pee like crazy, but it'll make you do stuff. You get shit done. TCB. I blow through so many of these. It's probably gonna give me a kidney stone. Oh well. What's up, Phil? And Joe? Yeah, I got Joe's wife, my buddy Emily, hooked on this this green tea. It's so good. Oh, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, we're towing a little bit of the theme. But you know, we want to have fun. Can't be too limited. We definitely harbor cyborgs at Hog Camp. Shh, don't tell anybody. You ever try working digital? You mean digital sculpting? I have not. I have been told that I should get into it, and I probably should. But I also don't like working at the computer. I like being able to sit up and use my hands and use tools and things. But I know that for efficiency's sake and just, you know, just 'cause it's a new tool, I mean, why not try it out? There's probably a lot of really cool stuff I could do with it. So someday I'll try it, but I don't know when. So for now, I'll just be an old fossil with my clay. But I do, like as far as drawing, I use Procreate if I'm doing illustration or Photoshop. But I like Procreate because I can use it on my iPad, so I'm not stuck at a desk. Alright, there we go. I think I'm liking this now. Watching Avengers. Yes, I've been on a bit of a Marvel kick. Marvel and Fargo TV series, which is excellent. So yeah, I just threw something on in the background, just so it's not, I'm not awkwardly talking to myself in here. And yeah, I have 2 birds, and they scream. And I knew what I was signing up for when I got birds, and I love birds, but sometimes it's a parakeet named Nubbin, and I have a green cheek conure named Frog, and poor Steve, when he comes over, they'll just start up, just going back and forth, screeching, and whew, oh boy, that shit gets old. Let's see. And crazy neighbors, oh yeah, they've actually calmed down a lot. I had some neighbors that moved in. I live in a super quiet cul-de-sac in this super quiet neighborhood that's just mostly old people. It's awesome. And a young family moved in, and the first few months their kids were just constantly outside just screeching. And one day I remember waking up and looking out my window, and one of the kids was, both the kids, buck naked, bent over, little butt cheeks spread open, just toddler asshole, boop, right there in the yard. And I just remember going, oh my, like, what are you doing? And they were like playing in the, like a kiddie pool in the summer. And it was just like, yeah, can you not? Can you just, I don't need to see that. but they turn out to be pretty cool. I think they kind of got the picture and sort of chilled out. No more nude children bent over. That was a weird story. I'm sorry. Welcome to Melly. Would you ever own 2 rats? Yes. I've had rats before, and they were awesome. But, probably not now. I have plenty of animals. Okay, so like what I just did, kind of clean up the top a little bit to make cool shapes like that. Excuse me. It wasn't very ladylike. Pardon me. I know you guys are all completely shocked and appalled right now, clutching your pearl necklaces. Oh dear. Sorry. So offensive. Okay. So, this spike is kind of like this one. See, it's kind of like, wow. So I don't know if I like that. I kind of like it. I don't know. I feel like I should straighten it out. Yeah, it kind of messes up the flow a little bit, so I'm going to soften it with my, like this. You know what? I think I might have to get the hammer. Be right back. I feel like I'm gonna love this. So sometimes I use a hammer to move big shapes, like this big old spike here, because if I press it, it's gonna like crack off. So you kind of just convince it. Yeah, see? Oh, look at that. Just gotta show it who's boss a little bit, so then you can kind of go in and convince it a little bit more. Now see. Get in there. Yeah, alright. That's a little bit better. So you can actually use a hammer to move like big shapes sometimes. If you really made something skewed, you can kind of go in and pat, 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 pat. Instead of like scraping off the clay and rebuilding, just whack the crap out of it, and it feels really good. And I've got like a smaller, heavy version here, so I'm gonna go in, give it a little tapperoonie, tapperoo. All right, that's better. Sweet. Sometimes I'm smart. Alright, so I think I like these. That's right, Steve. I get the hammer out. I would say one of the best workflow tips I ever got from a friend of mine, Fox. She told me years ago, and I'm a very unorganized person. Are we still on? Shit. We're still on, right? Hang on. My Wi-Fi just did something weird, sorry.